Hi, welcome to Part of My Frenchie. This is me, 143. If you don't have a friend, you have one now. Today's topic is going to be on one that actually is close to my heart. One that kind of came up this past week at work. We were discussing some of the things from our past. And few years back, actually twice, I was featured in our local magazine where they had spoke about our pet loss support, or they had done features on my pet loss support group and my books and so forth. I have written 2 books. The first one is Peaceful Pause, which follows a journey of a dog that has passed on, and he goes up to heaven, and while he's in heaven, he waits for his owner to come and meet him. The premise behind that one is when I had done pet loss support groups, there were a lot of people, older people, that their pets were their life. And once their pets departed, their kids were grown and their families had kind of moved on, and that's all that they had. So many times they wanted to go and be with their pets. And I know that sounds strange to people, but it didn't sound strange to them. And to have a reminder that everybody has jobs to do in this world, and whether it means to live out the rest of your life and finish the rest of your life here on earth and to do good things, then that's what you have to do. So the book goes through the dog being up in heaven and waiting for his owner to meet him at the end. So it's a beautiful book. And then my second book is a definition of unconditional love. And that's a wonderful book as well. It's about a shelter dog who is dumped at a shelter. Nobody likes him because of all of his flaws. And a little girl comes in and adopts him. She falls in love with him because she sees him with her heart and not her eyes. You come to find out that she's blind and she's disabled. And the two turn their situation into a wonderful service dog team. So together they build their life and they can do unstoppable things because they believe in each other. So the book is about how if you believe in yourself, you can do anything you want. And it doesn't matter the way that the world views you. If you have faith in yourself, you can do unstoppable things. And it's a great motivational book for kids, young adults, and actually regular adults. Because I think that we've all been there where we maybe didn't feel like we were the way that the world wanted to accept us. So it's just a great book as well. And all those books can be found on Amazon if you look them up. But anyway, so back to my story. So as we were talking at work about some of my past articles, one of the people that was working with me asked about how I had started the pet loss support group. And I had went into how I had lost 3 of my dogs, all within a short period of time. And she said, that was rough. And I said, yeah, absolutely. That was a very, very hard period of time. But what I had done was I had taken that energy and I had put into studying and becoming a pet loss support counselor. And I started pet loss support groups in my area. Now, with that being said, my first meetings, I went and I rented out a spot in the local library, and I was so excited. I had my daughter there, and we put out all this wonderful information, and I had put up flyers all week, or actually for a few weeks, and the time had come, and nobody showed up. And as we stood there, or as we sat there waiting for people to show up, time clicked on and nobody showed up. And it was at the end of our time that we, had the room, and my daughter looked at me and she said, "Well, Mom, aren't you disappointed?" And I looked at her and I said, "No, I'm not. I'm not disappointed because that means that nobody needed help this week." So, gathered up my stuff and went 2 weeks later, because we had meetings every 2 weeks. Put all this stuff out, and lo and behold, nobody showed up again. And she said, "Mom, are you disappointed?" I said, "Nope. That means nobody needs help this week." And she said, "Well, how can you not be disappointed?" I said, "It's a good thing. It's a good thing if nobody needs help, because one day somebody will need help." So, lo and behold, during the week, I had gotten a call from one of our local vets and veterinarians, and she had called and said, "Hey, I know you don't have a meeting, but there's a gentleman that really needs your help." And I said, "Oh, sure." So I rented out a room at the library, and I went and set up some stuff and got all excited, and for somebody to come and meet. And this gentleman comes in. He was rather tall, and he storms in, and he had his wife with him, and he turns and he looks at his wife, and he kind of very sternly looks at her and says, "You stay out here." And startled me a tad, and looked at me and said, "Let's go in the room." And we go in the room, and she stayed out there, and we went in the room. And as I closed the door, he sat down, and I found out that he was a Vietnam vet, and he had served our country and was a very, very wonderful man. He had lost his cat, and he sat there and he just put his hands on his head and said, "I have seen some horrible things in my life. I've lost my parents. I've lost my other animals in my life, but I cannot wrap my head around why I am grieving so much over this cat." He said, "I went to get a coffee cup out of the cabinet, and I got so upset, I smashed it across the room." And that's the moment I knew that people needed these meetings. And even if it was one person that showed up that week, or it was no people, those meetings were necessary. So that gentleman came for weeks and weeks. And then after that, he kept coming in order to help other people. You always have to look at every situation in life, and it's how you react to the situation. So no matter what happens, you have a choice. You have a choice to put a positive spin on it or put a negative spin on it. Sure, I could have looked at those first couple meetings and said, "You know what? I'm going to pack it in. I'm not doing this." But something in me said, no. You need to be positive. There's somebody out there that was just like me that needs us. And I never charged anybody anything to come to those meetings. I never wanted anybody to have to open their wallet or give anything. All they had to do was show up and know that they were in a room surrounded by people that cared about them or that were on the same journey as them. And I think that that was the beauty of it. It was knowing that you were next to somebody that understood how you felt. And that's one thing with pet loss and grief, there's people out there that don't quite understand the pain involved. And I don't know if it's just, well, I do know. It's because, some people aren't pet people, and that's fine. But there's people that just don't get it, or they look at pets as just animals and not family members. And so they don't get it. And it makes it difficult for somebody that is grieving to get empathy from people like that. So to know that you're not alone is a wonderful thing, or to know that you have a place to go is a wonderful thing. So anyways, that is my story for the week. If you don't have a friend, you've got one now. Thanks for stopping by. Pardon my Frenchie. This is me, 143. Take care. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.